Hi, this is Ned from homebrewguy.com, and I've been hearing a lot of the same homebrewing questions over and over again at my job, so I thought I'd make a quick video today about the one question that seems to come up a lot, and that question is, what is secondary fermentation? Now, this question kind of leads into three others, so it really breaks down into four questions. First of all, what is it? Why should I do it? Do I have to do this when I homebrew? And do I need to buy any specialized equipment to do it? So, first question, secondary fermentation, also known as two-stage fermentation. It's a process in which you siphon your beer into another container after primary fermentation has finished. Now, you'll know the right time to do this by carefully watching your wort ferment over the first few days. After the initial fermentation activity has subsided, that's when you switch into a secondary fermenter. So, why should I do it? Now, two main reasons here, and those are clarity. Less sediment in your fermenter will make it easier to keep it out of your beer on bottling day. It just kind of makes sense. Now, the second part, which a lot of people don't really know about, is that you need to do this to limit the amount of time that your beer is exposed to inactive yeast cells. Now, that's the sediment at the bottom of your bucket, the big yeast cake that you get after primary fermentation. Now, you want to leave that excess yeast behind because it can affect the flavor of your beer if it remains in contact with it for a long period of time. The trick to doing this successfully is to just drain the beer, not the sediment, from your primary fermenter into a secondary fermenter. So, it sounds like a big pain in the neck. You might be wondering, do I have to absolutely do this? Well, in short, no. You really only benefit from secondary fermentation when you're going to ferment your beer for more than 2 to 3 weeks. Now, if you're just starting out, you'll probably brew ales to begin with, and, ales typically ferment in about 10 days, give or take, depending on the yeast that you're using. And lagers can take much longer to ferment. So you definitely want to rack into a secondary when brewing a lager. They will take weeks and weeks and weeks. But here's the thing with lagers, they ferment at a lower temperature, and therefore you're going to need some climate control. Whereas, ale yeast is just fine at room temperature, and it's a lot more forgiving when you're just starting, out. So, now, last question. Do I need to buy specialized equipment? Not really. I mean, the brew supply companies will, they'll be the first to immediately try to sell you a better bottle or a glass carboy, which are really pricey. They insist that you need them, but you really don't when you're just starting out. In most cases, you can simply rack into your sanitized bottling bucket, wash and sanitize your primary fermenter while your beer is sitting in your bottling bucket. And then you're going to rack back into your primary fermenter, which is now acting as your secondary fermenter. Now, there is a huge caveat, or many huge caveats to doing this. You have to make sanitization a huge priority. It should be anyway. I mean, that's kind of one of those things that they certainly scared me about in all those books that I read when I first got into home brewing. Sanitize everything. Next thing you want to do is you really want to minimize aerating your beer at this point. You want to aerate it before the yeast goes in because essentially the way yeast works is yeast is going to use the available oxygen in the beer and reproduce and therefore be more effective. Now, air in your beer after it's turned into beer, after it's, gone from bittersweet wort to beer, you don't really want any oxygen in your beer. You want to really limit your exposure. So this can, doing it this way, you're going to expose your beer to more oxygen than you really need to. So you're better off buying a second fermenter bucket, and here's why. First of all, they're a lot cheaper than a better bottle or a glass carboy. You can probably pick one up for between 14 and 16 bucks. Or, if you know somebody who works at a bakery, you can probably get a 6-gallon food grade plastic bucket for free. Just buy the lid with the, just buy a special lid with a little grommet in the top, where you can even drill a hole out and buy a grommet for it to put your airlock in. So you can time it just right if you have 2 fermenters, that you always have a new batch of beer fermenting, and that is a heck of a lot of fun. It's just great to have like your own little beer factory at home. Your friends will certainly love you for it. So now this is all not to say that the better bottles and glass carboys aren't awesome, but that's really a subject for another video altogether. And all of a sudden we're out of time. So first of all, thank you. I really hope you found this video to be helpful. Please check out homebrewguy.com and ask me anything in the comments. I'm really ready to answer any home brewing questions you might have. If I don't know it, I know people who know it. Thank you very much for watching.